What's going on, you guys? Mr. Money1235 back here yet again. And oh my gosh, we have our visitor again who wants to be in the video. This is Lily again. Heard me talking and come running. So, I wasn't going to talk about this until Friday of this week, as you guys know. But I decided to screw that. I want to talk to somebody about this damn thing. So, after much anticipation, the new Blur album is finally here, and I have some thoughts. Coming off the accessible pop music of Cracker Island, and coming off especially, more importantly, the more mellow Magic Whip from a few years ago, I guess I had certain expectations. And this was going to be the first album of all of the band members together, and everybody fully wanting to create an album all the way since 1999 with 13. Graham was not a part of 95% of Think Tank, and the only reason we have the Magic Whip is because Graham said, "Hey Damon, why don't we do something with all those demos that we made for a week off in Hong Kong?" And Damon was like, "No." And then he said, "Okay, come on, let's do it." And then Damon said, "Okay." So, we got to thank Graham for the Magic Whip. That's why we have that album. Now that they're finally all back together again in the same room, all the core members, I was expecting some Graham Coxon guitar, some pounding bass drums, some strong bass lines, and more la 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 la's than all of the early Blur work combined. And that is exactly what we did not get. Now, it did not meet my expectation, I guess. I should have figured that ever since I heard the Narcissist, really. That should have been like the window into like the more mature Blur that we were about to get here, but I didn't imagine it was going to be like almost solo Damon material. I know it sounds like I'm ragging on it, but it's not all a bad thing. It's really not. This is a more moody, mature, beautiful album. Kind of something you can relate to like A Moon-Shaped Pool by Radiohead. It kind of feels that way to me, where the past albums are a little bit more experimentation and crazy, and then you come out with A Moon-Shaped Pool, which is more laid back, chill, kind of classy-er album. That's kind of what this feels like to me. The ballad, the first track on this album, starts it off on a really dark and gray kind of mood. There's a hint of light in the chorus, but you can definitely tell the feeling that's on this track. And there's a beautiful melody in this song, especially near the chorus line, along with the string sections and the harmonies coming from Graham. It sounds wonderful. I love the mix of Graham's guitar also with the kind of the quartet or the orchestral feel of this opening track. It's a great start, and it definitely sets a certain mood for the album for sure. But then the second track, St. Charles Square, comes in there and just like, nope, fuck your mood, with this fucking crazy messy guitar riff that just sounds so fucking demented and nasty. Guitars are constantly like chugging in the background. It sounds pretty badass. It's a little bit different from Graham Coxon's normal tone, but it's pretty good. I love the chorus on this track with some of Damon's wailing and screaming in the mix. I think that sounds really cool. When this track first dropped, I was a little disappointed and a little annoyed with it, but it's grown on me quite a lot since it first came out, and it's actually one of my favorite songs here now, so good for that, I guess. The next track, Barbaric, is definitely going to be a fan favorite of this album. Maybe it should have actually been the first single, as apart from The Narcissist, but at the same time, I guess I'm kind of happy that they saved some of the best songs for a surprise. But yeah, Barbaric is probably my favorite song on the album, not to be a basic bitch. It just kind of is. It's the most normal pop song on the entire album. It's a chorus that's easy to sing along to. It's got a really dancey groove to it. I love how breezy this track feels with flourishes of Graham's guitar mixed in there. It's probably my favorite on the album, as I said. And it's really hard not to enjoy this track. I feel like even people who are going to be disappointed in this album, and trust me, there will be some people disappointed in this album, they are going to cherry pick this song straight off of there and throw it into their Blur playlist and never look back. It's going to be the one song that everybody can agree is awesome on this album, I feel like. Russian Strings kind of picks up where the opener left off, I guess. It's actually introducing some of that more beautiful kind of quiet mood that the intro track leads you to believe this album's going to be full of. I love the reverb on the piano and how that sounds on the track. It's pretty cool. I love the harmonies that Graham has on here. It feels like it would almost fit on Damon's latest solo album, The Nearer the Fountain. I feel like Russian strings here would fit pretty damn well in this track listing. There's going to be more comparisons like this coming up further on, but yeah, just when I hear it, it just seems like it would mix in well with the other piano kind of tunes that's on The Nearer the Fountain. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though, for sure. Another beautiful song with a bit of Graham Coxon guitar sprinkled in there. It's pretty good. Now, the Everglades, the next track on this album, this one goes back to another Damon Albarn project for me personally. I feel like this one sounds a lot like The Good, the Bad, and the Queen. Just the way that guitar is being played, it reminds me of tracks like Ribbons off of this album or The Poison Tree off of this album. Hell, it even kind of sounds like Soldier's Tale off of the first The Good, the Bad, and the Queen album. 4 string sections really surround this track, and Damon has a really soaring chorus with some really pretty vocals. It's just a really good song. It's another really down-tuned, pretty song. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just funny, I cannot get the comparison to some of the more acoustic-sounding tracks from The Good, the Bad, and the Queen when I hear this song. Probably one of the ones that still has yet to grow on me. I mean, it's just weird thinking about this in terms of it being Blur and not The Good, the Bad, and the Queen, but it's a good song. Next up is The Narcissist, and it's definitely the centerpiece of this album. I can see why it was picked as the first single, and it has the same mellow vibes as the rest of the album, but it still maintains like more of a Blur feel. There's still a lot of guitar, especially near the end in there, crashing. And there's some harmonies and backing vocals from Graham. I can tell why they picked this as the first single. The chorus is pretty catchy, easy to get into, get stuck in your head. It's a great song and still one of my favorites from the album. Goodbye Albert is really interesting and has, it's really bass heavy or synth melody is going on in the background throughout the entire thing. Graham's guitar playing has the same tone as some of the last tracks on The Great Escape. This track actually sounds a little bit more like a mature Yuko and Hero. Like the way the guitar sounds on this song reminds me of how he's playing the solo on some of those Great Escape songs near the end. This track might even fit well on The Great Escape, Goodbye Albert. If I had to pick a track that's still kind of growing on me, it would definitely be this one. Next to the Everglades, I think I like the Everglades more than I like this song. I don't hate it, but I don't think I've seen the full potential of this track quite yet. I need to let it keep growing on me. Faraway Island is a very pretty track on this album. It sounds like it would fit well on Everyday Robots to me a little bit. Maybe that's, I think that's more of a hot take. But it's a really pretty song. I absolutely love the chorus on this track. I was a little not happy with this song either in the beginning, but now it's really, really grown on me as well. The next track, Avalon, though, this song is a huge freaking highlight for me. I absolutely love the epic horn sections on this track. They blow me away. They feel epic, and it's one of the more upbeatish songs on this album. There's not many of them, and but it still maintains that gray kind of dark feeling that a lot of these tracks do. I love this song. I'm going to be playing Avalon way far into the future. I think it sounds epic. I love the horn sections on this track. The Heights is also a pretty decent closer. There's really good guitar from Graham on this one. I'm not sure how I feel about the Wall of Noise, the Beatle-esque, like A Day in the Life fuzziness that just kind of abruptly ends the song and ends the album at the same time. It feels a little bit lazy. It's nothing super special, but it's still a pretty decent closer. I do like that this song is a little bit more upbeat, I guess, with Graham's guitars and stuff like that. But overall, I like the song a lot. All in all, with a few little minor complaints, I think this is a pretty good record from Blur. It definitely has highs and a few lows. It's an album for a very particular mood, I think. It's not very instant satisfaction, just like it would be if you were pulling like a Modern Life is Rubbish or Self-Titled or The Great Escape. I feel like you can listen to those albums any time of day and find a lot of enjoyment in it, but I don't feel like this is going to be an album where you can just pick it up and play. You kind of need to be in a mood to listen to something like this. Now, don't get me wrong, what I think is the best part about this album is that if it is a gray, rainy day, you just kind of want to relax, and you can put this album on and kind of listen to the pretty melodies and the kind of the quiet instrumentation and just really kind of delve into something beautiful. I feel like this is the perfect album for it, and it's something that I don't think you would have been able to turn to Blur before with. Which is kind of cool, because it's like Blur have actually done something that they haven't done before on this album. And you can't say that about much else with Blur. I mean, they have covered a lot of bases, and this is just one more that they haven't yet, and now they have. And I think it's great that we finally have an album like this in Blur's discography. I think that's the coolest part about this album. It does feel like a natural growth from the Magic Whip, how this ended up how it did. And I can respect that, and it makes sense. They're more mature now. They're not going to be jumping off of amplifiers anymore. They're not teenagers anymore. And we shouldn't expect that, I guess. I personally don't foresee this album being one that I listen to more than the rest of Blur's discography. But like I said, if I get into that mood that I described, I'll definitely throw this on. And I'm sure that these tracks that I've talked about in a more negative light are going to grow on me as well. So yeah, all in all, a decent Blur album. I'm really happy to add it to the discography. It's definitely didn't meet what I wanted in terms of expectations, but in the terms of the greater Blur discography, I just want to tell myself to shut up, because I'm actually happy that they did something that they haven't necessarily done before, and I think that's the best part, personally. Anyway, tell me what you guys think down there below. I will see you guys soon. Mr. Mooney 1235 out.